What do you feel is maybe the one or two top beliefs you had to let go of in order to get to where you are now?
I wasn't good enough to even just have a growing successful business. At the end of the day, if you're trying to do this by yourself, it's going to be very hard. By you showing me these simple breakdowns, linking it back to like the manifesto that we created, it made me just refer to each point. What do I need to do to get this done? I need to do this. Who do I need to help with that? This person. Is it aligning with my future self? This program is definitely going to eliminate all that procrastination, and you will see some huge growth come out of it. Not just for your business, but definitely for yourself.
All right. Hey guys, welcome into this client success drop-in with Nick, one of our clients. We wanted to come in here today because Nick has had an incredible transformation in the last 5 and a bit months. He's gone from sub 20K a month to 40K a month. He's left his corporate job. He's super focused, dialed in, motivated. He's always getting everything done that we ask of him. He's also got himself a nice little sports car, Nissan 350Z. You've lost weight. You're a totally different person. So I want to really come in with today's interview with the intention of showing you guys like what success looks like through the journey, so that you have some good expectations and some good understanding of how to win going forward. So Nick, welcome in.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Alrighty. So Nick, what exactly would you say is, if somebody met you a year ago versus now, what would they immediately notice that's different?
Confidence. I've managed to strengthen my confidence. A year ago, totally different person in the sense of just uncertain in terms of where I'm going, what I'm doing, and how I'm going about what I'm trying to achieve. So the conversation that we would have would be completely different as well. There's a more positive energy that I have towards people and towards things and outcomes that I've been working towards. So yeah, big shift.
Nice. Hell yeah, bro. So if you can give a little background, what exactly is it you do with Zuva?
So Zuva is a Australian men's athletic brand. We sell and we basically design and sell custom gym wear for men who are kind of on their journey for being a relentless kind of gym goer. So the brand has been around for 3 years, and it has been somewhat stagnant for two and a bit years. And the business needed to have more focus in terms of its own growth, in that sense of having better operations, better marketing channels, etc. So what I do in the business is like a full 360 approach. I do everything from managing the product, styling, right through to the marketing, managing the store. I have a business partner who I'm very fortunate to have in the journey, who has helped, the other side of the business in terms of logistics, customer service, and we bounce off each other quite well. So our relationship is very strong. We've been, together for years, and, we know the ins and outs of our business. And right now the business is in its growth trajectory. Next year is a huge year for us. There's a lot of planning going on. There's a lot of processes, and it's a lot of stuff that I've learned over the last 6 months in how to go about what I'm doing for the business. So knowledge that I have in the business is quite strong. It's just making actions around it. So it has nothing to do with what I know. It's how do I use what I know, if that makes sense. So I do virtually everything from operations right through marketing, and I enjoy every process.
Hell yeah. So now I'd love to know for you, what does a normal day look like for you now compared to before we started working together?
The normal day for me is typically it's like mapped out. Everything that I have is noted down as to what I need to achieve. However, it's not as detailed as it used to be. My days are very simplified. I have simplified everything that I do, and I don't overwhelm myself with, say, 15 types of tasks. So I just have the intention now, what's so critical that needs to be done today, and what can I achieve out of these three things, for example. So if I pick three things that I had to do that day, I'll just lock in on three. And then anything else that was pending would get done either that same day because I was so focused in. So I start my day early. I finish it quite late, and I have the intention of just trying to achieve at least 1 to 3 things in terms of getting things completed. So yeah, going back to what I was saying, very simple, very structured, and almost like it's robotic in a sense where it's just everything is just natural and there's just no friction.
Yeah, and I can imagine that brings down like maybe like anxiety and just gives you like more certainty in your day to day as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. That clarity is key for me. And I notice that if I don't have any structure or understanding as to what I need to do, that's when the anxiety will kick in. There's procrastination. There's also doubt, lack of confidence, and all these things that just start to show up, all because I just wasn't clear on what I needed to do. So something so simple has just reshaped my entire day. And even like there was a day last week where I was just on a computer and I was literally just clicking around and I was like, what am I actually doing right now? And I stopped and I walked away. I went for a walk. I actually decided to go to the gym, reset myself, came back, wrote things down. I'm like, this is exactly what I need to do to finish my day off with clarity. And yeah, it just came down to me understanding what was the purpose of me doing what I needed to do on that day. So it's just a remembering game for me. So yeah, it's very structured and very well oiled day, but when it's not, it's just chaos. So yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. I'd love to know for you, like, what were you struggling with the most, like pre 20K a month? Like when you were around that level, what were the biggest struggles and patterns that kept showing up?
The struggle was taking a little bit more risk. I was very risk adverse and I was against losing money per se. And I had this fear that if I tried to spend more money or invest in certain things, that I might not see that result and then I'll go backwards. So I had this fear of going backwards for making action. And it was just showing up as bullshit. So that I instantly killed and I thought, no, that's just part of business, that's part of learning. And I'd rather learn out of that than not learn anything at all. So before that, I was just anti-risk because and that just comes back to a few years of obviously having a lot of micro failures and a lot of hurdles that program me to feel I can't take risks. Like I shouldn't take any risk because it's going to end up being bad again. So I've had to reshuffle that in a very positive light. And yeah, that even this pre 20K as well. You know, there was months where we were doing like 15, 10K, and it was just like all because of risk, nothing to do with performance. It was just like, I don't want to take this risk.
And what impact was that having on you, would you say?
It was just giving me less confidence in the business and less confidence in my day to day. So I didn't have the ability to make better and more optimal decisions. Just lack of leadership myself.
Yeah, I love the honesty. So I'm curious for you, what was the moment that you decided to take this seriously? Like what made you decide to commit to changing this?
It's a lot of self-reflection. There's a lot of build up towards it. And the stage of my life that I was at was almost like there was a lot of limitations in like what I wanted and what I couldn't get. And I realized, hang on, I'm in full control of the things that I want, whether it's, irrespective of this material stuff. It's more like, who's the person that I want to be? And is this someone my future self would like appreciate and look up to? And that was showing up as no. So I just had a lot of self-awareness, and the actualization was, I want to be the best version of myself so my future self can thank me and my younger self can look up to me.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. What do you feel are some of the things that you would say your younger version can look up to now? Like, who's the Nick you've become?
Very confident, and also the fact that I've become less of a serious person. So I can still have fun. And my younger self would love that, because me being younger, I was very like, I was a bit of a clown, the class clown per se. And I always had that fear of, you can't have both. You can't be a clown and be successful or have a successful business. You have to pick one or the other. So I think my younger self would appreciate my fun side, as well as see the success that I'm progressing towards in business and just in general, like life general. So yeah, I think that's what it would be.
Nice. Um, was there fear when you left your job, or was it just like clarity?
Just clarity. I had a lot of people ask me, oh, you're going off on your own. That's kind of scary, but that's really positive. Good on you. That's so inspiring. But I never really thought of the fear. I thought of, well, there's actually nothing for me to be scared of. Like, what is the fear that's showing up? And if it's money, then that's fine. Just get us, do some freelance work, get some side jobs, whatever the case is. So it was like every reason that was showing up in terms of the so-called fear that I think was being projected towards me from other people having these conversations, I just had clarity around it. I was like, yeah, that's fine. I know what I'm doing. Like, and I know people. So my network just proves that it doesn't really matter where I'm at. I can always call out for help or whatever the case is. So there was just absolutely no reason for me to be scared. And I was just fully confident that what I am doing is the right thing. And if there was doubt in what happens, then that's okay. That's just learning. So I came to that realization that I'd rather be a learning machine than be a person that just takes zero action on that stuff. So yeah, I just had a totally different attitude than I did like 2 years ago per se. Just like this scared little kid. It's like, hey, don't do that because that's just dangerous. But it's like, dangerous is like associating actual harm and physical hurt and stuff. And it's like, all this was just in the head. So yeah, this very different experience.
Right, 100%. And let's talk lifestyle here. The weight loss, the car, the confidence, the being full time with this. Now, what does that represent to you?
Ownership for me, I think is where I've seen, where I've seen everything come together in terms of how I'm running my life. And I'm taking full ownership of all my outcomes. So, for example, the car, I drove a really crappy car for a long time, and then I had this realization. It's like, why am I punishing myself? I don't need to do that. I'm just going to go buy a car that I enjoy and reward myself, and have something to look forward to, and the health as well is like, that's in full control of myself. So there's no reason why I should be overweight or underweight or, lacking in aesthetic. So I just took ownership on each part of those things, as well as, just cleanliness as well. Like just being a very clean, clear person, I'll make sure that after the end of the day, I'll clean my office, I'll clean the desk, I'll clean everything. So the new day is is off for a fresh start. So that again, that just goes back to ownership. I'm just owning everything that I do that's around me.
Mm. Yeah, 100%. It's like you're controlling everything that you can control to the highest level, but you're also unattached to the other things. It's been, yeah, such an incredible shift within you, which has been awesome to see, of course. I'm going to circle it back to this actually. So obviously you've been like really successful over these like last few months. I'd be curious for you, since I know that you've been in other sort of personal development things as well. Why do you feel some people get results and others don't get results?
From my experience, I think the accountability piece is underlooked. And at the end of the day, if you're trying to do this by yourself, I think that it's going to be very hard, very difficult. So having a group or even a person or a system per se to guide you on just touching base, checking in on how things are going and aligning those things with yourself is probably where people struggle the most. I see it with some people in my network as well. You know, there's that conversations like, oh, I really should start the gym. Or I really should start training again and this and that. But it's like, what's stopping you? It's like, oh, I just can't be bothered. But like the underlying issues, like they just don't have anyone to hold them accountable, but also help them with those goals. So, in their mind, they're trying to do all these things by themselves. But the reality is that's just like, you could be proud to do that, but I think it's just like, be also humble enough to seek help and get help from other people who can help you channel and amplify whatever you're planning on doing. So I think people just struggle with calling out for that help and getting any kind of structure around it. Like, what is actually stopping you from doing this? And like, how can we work together to help you to achieve these, these small wins that you're trying to get?
Mm, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think what's really interesting about your journey is like, I think a lot of people along the road think that, okay, Luke's going to help me with like the business stuff. And for sure, like there's been areas where like we've been able to detail out like a ton of solutions and then you like go and do it. But what do you feel like I actually helped you with the most in your journey?
Definitely the structuring of what I needed to like do, but also building out my manifesto, bringing my vision to surface and actually committing to understanding where do you want to go, and does the best version of yourself value what you're doing right now? And also the detail aspect. It's like, I was a little bit global before. Everything was just showing up as global and very vague and broad, whereas you brought detail along with clarity and direction towards what I was trying to do. So it was almost like you showed me how to break things down in order to get them done. So that's where the biggest milestone was reached. It's like, how are we going to get there and how are you going to achieve what you needed to do? So by you showing me these simple breakdowns and linking it back to like the manifesto that we created at the very beginning, just all linked together so well. So it made me just refer to each point. It's like, okay, what do I need to do to get this done? I need to do this. Who do I need to help with that? This person. Okay. Does my future self, is it aligning with my future self? So it's just linking everything has been a great thing. And yeah, it was a super, super helpful approach that you applied.
I appreciate that. I appreciate the transparency of what you've been working on and yeah, the clarity of everything there. What do you feel is like maybe the one or two top beliefs you had to let go of in order to get to where you are now?
There's been a lot, but I think the core the core limiting belief I had was I wasn't good enough
Mm.
to achieve, to even just have a successful, growing successful business. I wasn't good enough. And that really shifted for me is when I started to acknowledge the small wins that I was having. And it just opened up a new doorway for me to acknowledge that it's okay to share those micro wins, because as a consequence, they led to the big wins. So that belief I instantly killed. And now I see myself as good enough for anything that I want to do. It's up to me. Um, so that was a huge limiting belief that I was facing.
Mm. Yeah. Wow, that's powerful. Um, yeah, it's interesting how so many beliefs come back to not being good enough. Like so many. Um, like even like, you know, someone saying I don't have the time because like I'm not good enough to create the time that I need. Or it's like, oh, I'm not confident in this because I'm not good enough. Right. It's always like defaults back
Yeah.
then.
Yeah. It was showing up in so many areas. And even like when I was working the job, it was like, oh, I might not be good enough to go off on my own and you know, manage cash flow, manage admin, manage all these things. I might not be that good to go back and doing that stuff. So it just showed up everywhere.
Mm. Yeah. You know what just I just thought of as well, you were talking about like before you weren't taking risk as much as you wanted to, but I think it would be fun for people to hear about you taking some risk with a little trip to China. Tell us a little bit about why you took that risk and why you feel it's worth taking risks in relation maybe to your China trip.
Yeah, the decision to go to China was actually planned for next year, and it was like a whole 15 months away from that date of like just thinking about it. And I was saying to myself, like, oh, we really need to get clarity on like processes and manufacturers, and we really need to up our game in, product management and coming up with new styles and trying to find how to fill these gaps in the business from like a product standpoint. And I was virtually delaying it by like 14 months just by running that scenario in my head to say, I'm going to do this next year. It's like, why next year? It's like, what is it? Money? Is it time? Is it commitment? What was the one thing that was holding me back from this? And it was showing up as it's just delaying things because I was trying to be perfect in every decision I made, to plan it perfectly and get the perfect outcome. So I had this realization that I needed to really shift that thought process. And from there, I was like, no, screw it. I'm going to go to China this year. I'm going to get the flight sorted, and I'm just going to manage everything as it comes to me. And long story short, went to China, and it was just a massive turning point. My business partner came along as well, and we just both we were just like heads blown, and we're like, this is just the best thing we've ever done. And like, why were we going to wait a whole year to do this? Like, that's just like so silly. Like, this is so important for us. And then like now we're like, we should have done this years ago. So uh, it it gave us an opportunity to meet with new manufacturers, look at new styles, go to factory tours, see their processes, figure out like how to build relationships with the right people, and more importantly, like what systems do we need to build so we can have less friction in what we're actually trying to achieve. So
Mm.
coming back from that trip, we were there for 8 days, came back, and literally we were like, okay, this is everything we need to do right now. And then there was just this checking boxes like, okay, we need to build this out. We're going to get this done. We're going to talk to this person. It was just like action on action on action. And it was just the most rewarding thing ever. And the investment was so worth it that no amount of money can really like put a price tag on what we got out of it. So we're instantly like, next year we're going, and then like we're just going to double down on all this stuff as we go. So yeah, it was just a really incredible decision that was made, and such a phenomenal result that came out of it.
Oh yeah, man, that's so sick. And it's so cool because it's like the month before you'd got the 350Z, then you were like still losing weight. One of your first goals was to like pick up a hobby and do some golf. Are you still golfing as well right now?
Yeah. I've signed up to a club now, so next year I start like playing on a course properly. So yeah, it's an exciting and rewarding thing for me, because yeah, hobbies just weren't a thing, a year ago.
Yeah, the confidence that has opened up for you, and for then you to just take more risk, because I think a lot of people don't realize like you can fake confidence, but you have your like internal like self-trust, self-belief running the show behind it. And so if you have that underlying like I'm not enough going on, then it impacts everything that you do. Like you said, like it's like, oh, I don't want to take this risk, and so then you had to work another job to stay where you're at. And then like as you started taking more leaps, even just in your personal life, and I think this is why it's so important for people to have like a bit of like a holistic vision, like you talked about. It's like you can just have a business goal, but then once you get there, you can crash and burn. So it's like, because you have these other anchors in your life, you're able to build self-confidence in a different way. And then that allows you to take the leaps. Like you came to Vietnam for the client retreat. You then were back in Australia for a little bit, and then went straight over to China. And then, all the questions that there would have been different questions and maybe different things that you asked after that China trip to get more out of it. And then coming back from it, it's like, okay, now we've got to take action on all this rather than procrastinate or wait, So it's so cool to see this just keep churning. So I'd love to know for you, what's the goal going into next year? Like, what do you feel is possible now?
I think I think about it all the time, like how big can I go next year in terms of my commitments, and also my like where can I take the business. So next year is looking like, the benchmark for us is like we need to have we're going to have 150K month. However, in saying that, we're going to hit 100K first in that instance, and then we're going to have 150K months. And so the planning required for us next year is happening now to get us there. Before we wouldn't have planned that sort of stuff. So it was like small planning, but now it's like taking it to another level, but serious. So next year's a huge year for us. It's a huge year for myself as well, in terms of how I'm going to show up, leveling up as well, how I can regulate under these times, because what got us here isn't really going to get us to the next part, but who I am and how I show up will. So I'm going to remind myself that it's going to be about how I just show up, and not really what the outcomes are going to be. So it's an exciting new year coming up, and so much is going into it. So it's great.
Oh yeah, man. If you could say one thing to your past self before starting, what would it be?
Before starting?
Yeah, before getting started with, I guess, the program and our transformation and all of that stuff, what's the one thing you would say to to your past self?
It's going to change. It's going to change your life. It's going to change your life in every aspect possible. And I would also say that everything that you're going through right now is just temporary, and it's all going to shift. All that negative energy is all going to turn into positive energy. And I would say have faith and just trust that process.
Beautiful, bro. Okay, with that said, is there anything else that you would love to share with the viewer that you think would help them be successful going forwards?
The fact, I think, to help someone who is struggling on making a decision for this, I think that question is going to come down to, like, if you really want your life to change and you really want to see growth in your business and also yourself, then this is the perfect thing for you. And I can't stress enough that without going through this journey, I think it's going to be very hard in trying to hit those milestones that you've been thinking about in the last 6 months, even the last year or so that you've procrastinated on. This program is definitely going to eliminate all that procrastination, and you will see some huge growth come out of it. Not just for your business, but definitely for yourself. So it is a life course correction for you, and you'd be silly not to do it.
Awesome. Nick, so thank you so much for your time. Always a pleasure catching up with you. We'll see you later in the week here, but yeah, appreciate it. And everybody listening, appreciate you tuning in. And with that said, we'll catch you guys soon.
Cheers, Luke.